You're listening to the weekly Parsha Podcast with Ari Goldwag, recorded with Hashem's never-ending assistance in Ramat Beit Shemesh, Israel, 5785, 2025. This week's Parsha is Parshas Behar-Bechukosai, and in Behar we have a discussion of the concept of Shemitah, and Bechukosai we have the blessings, we have the brachas, and the klalas, and we have the curses. I'd like to share with you a medrash that speaks about the contrast between the blessings and the curses. But first, the Medrash talks about the pasuk in Behar-Bechukosai teilechu, if you shall walk in my statutes. The Medrash brings a pasuk that Dovid Hamelech says, in Behar-Bechukosai teilechu ado dichsiv chishavti derachai, vashiva raglai elei desecha. The pasuk says in Tehillim, chapter 119, pasuk nun tes, pasuk 59. So, the pasuk there, the psukim in that chapter are all talking about the greatness of Torah. How beautiful Torah is, how special it is to study the will of Hashem, to try to understand what is Hashem's will for us. And that is through the Torah, through this gift. The word Torah means teaching. It's through the teachings of the Torah. And Dovid Hamelech says, Chishavti derachai. I thought about my paths. Vashiva raglai elei desecha. In the Parsha Pshat, I think it means, based on your testimonies, and understand the Torah is referred to as a testimony because it's a statement of reality. If you want to know the rules of the game, you want to know what makes a person spiritually successful and thereby successful generally in the world, it's through the testimonies of Hashem. He testifies as to what is good for us. And Dovid Hamelech says, when I set my feet on the path of your testimonies, when I set my path to be the way I believe you want me to live, based on your teachings, Hashem, so that's what he was after. Amar David, the Medrash says, David is saying like this, Ribbono shel olam b'chol yom v'yom, Master of the world, every single day, hayisi mechashiv v'omer, I would make a calculation and I would say, l'makom plani leveis dir planis ani oilech. He would say, I plan to go to a certain location, to a certain house. And my feet would bring me, it seems like instead of going where I intellectually planned, my heart would bring me to the house of study, to the house of worship, to the place of prayer, to the shul, to the Beis Medrash. So the Medrash understands that when it says Chishavti derachai, David is saying, when I planned out how I want to do my day, how the paths that I want to take, vashiva raglai elei desecha, my feet brought me to your testimonies, which means I was so interested. My heart was so drawn after your will, Hashem, that no matter what I planned, I ended up in the Beis Medrash. I'm listening to Torah anytime on the way to work. I'm opening a sefer during lunch. The way that we naturally get pulled into, let's say, looking at the news, looking at our email, King David was saying, Dovid Hamelech was saying, I get sucked into Torah. The Torah is the thing that draws me in. I get such a high. I get such fulfillment from your Torah. I can't stop going there. I just can't stop. I'm addicted to Torah. Rav Huna b'shem Rav Acha Omar. Rav Huna in the name of Rav Acha says, another pshat in this pasuk. Chishavti matan scharon shel mitzvos v'hefsedon shel averos. Dovid Hamelech was saying, Chishavti derachai, I thought about the way that I'm going to go. Not a personal way of going, not like my own personal paths, my own interests, but I looked at what's the right way to go. I was clear. I got clear. If I do this Avera, what's going to be the end of it? I might want to do it right now, but what's going to happen in the end? I'm going to regret it. If I do this mitzvah, it might be hard now, but what's going to be at the end? I'm going to be so proud of myself. I used my intellect to direct my feet, to get myself to take the actions that are in consonance with the Torah, in consonance with the testimonies that you testify. It almost sounds like I, from my own experience I was able to see that this is what happened when I made mistakes, when I did the Avera. And this is what happened when I did the mitzvah. And I realized, if that's what God says to do, if HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants me to do a certain thing, I can see that it didn't work out well when I didn't listen. And I can see how well it worked ultimately when I did. So, there's two ways to get into doing what's right. One is just do it, because God says to do it. And the other way is to make the mistakes and learn from our mistakes and try to be better and get back on the path that way. Reb Menachem Chasna de Reb Elazar bar Rabbi Avinu Amar. Reb Menachem, the son-in-law of Reb Elazar bar Rabbi Avinu, says, Chishavti ma shekosavta lana b'Torah Bechukosai teilechu. He says, I contemplated that which it says in your Torah, right? It says, Chishavti deracha. What's deracha? It's the Bechukosai teilechu. The pasuk says, go in my statutes. If you go in my statutes, what will happen? Maksiv tamon v'nasati shalom ba'aretz. The pasuk tells us all the blessings that come, all of the positive results when we do this individually, and when we keep the Torah collectively. When the Jewish people do what we're supposed to do, we bring spirituality into our lives. We bring Hashem into our lives. And now nothing bad can happen. There's only peace. There's peace between us, between man and his fellow, because I'm not concerned about getting what I think I need to get. I'm concerned about giving you what you need to get. Giving you what you need. That's what Shalom looks like. I'm thinking about you instead of me thinking about me. And the pasuk later says, if we don't listen to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, heaven forbid, if we defy Hashem's will, if we get involved in what our egos want, if we don't have peace between ourselves, so HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, I'm going to continue to bring pain upon you. I think about it though, really there's a continuation Hashem is doing because we're bringing pain upon ourselves. We're busy trying to grab everything that we want out of life, which doesn't really get us what we want. It just brings us pain. So Dovid Hamelech says, Chishavti derachai. I made a cheshbon of what's the right path that the Torah prescribes. I saw where things bring me. Vashiva raglai. I see if I walk in this way, where does it end up? Where does it lead? The pasuk tells us, go in the ways of the Torah. It's going to be good. There's going to be peace. There's going to be what else do you need besides for peace? Right? If you have peace, you have everything. My Bubba used to say, if you have your health, you have everything. But I think that health is also peace. It's peace within my physical body. And the opposite, if we don't listen to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, so then we create problems for ourselves. Okay, so that's what Dovid Hamelech says, Chishavti derachai. I thought about it. We got to think about it. Now here we have an important point the Medrash makes. I'd like to share with you a thought from the Gemara as well, from the Marsha in the Gemara of Basra. Rav Abba Breder B'chia b'Shem Rabbi Yonason, Omer Chishavti brachas Chishavti klalis. There's a difficulty in our Parsha when we look at the Parsha. So the blessings, we see the brachas. If we keep the Torah, we get lots of blessings. Things are great. But the blessings are kind of short. There's only, I think, a few psukim of blessings. I think 8 psukim of blessings. 8 psukim that speak about the brachas. No, I'm sorry. There are 9 psukim that talk about the brachas, and there are 27 psukim that speak about the klalos, the curses. Brachos me'alef v'ataf. But you see, as is the way that we're supposed to be, Rabbi Abba shows us how to look at this in a positive way. While it's true that the brachos are few, it seems that they're few, there's only 9 psukim, 9 verses. But if you look at the first letter of the brachos, and we'll see other ways to understand this as well. But if you look at the first letter of the brachos, it's Aleph, the first letter of the alphabet. And if you look at the last letter of the brachos, the last letter is the letter Tav, which is the last letter of the alphabet. So the brachos are me'alef v'atav. When the Torah gives us this type of introduction and outro of an aleph and a taf, even though it's short, it's compact. It's saying that you're going to get everything that you need. Do I need to say if I want to give you the best bracha, someone asks me for a bracha. If I want to give that best bracha, it's, may Hashem give you everything you want. Hashem should be mimali kol mishalis libecha l'toiva. Hashem should fulfill all of your heart's desires for good. From aleph to taf. From A to Z. Everything that you need, Hashem should give you everything that you need. You don't need to say much more than that. It's not necessary. I just got everything going. So the first letter of the brachas and the last letter is aleph and taf. Klalois min vav v'ad hey. Here's something very interesting. It's a little bit of a mystery. Got to understand this. The klalois, the curses, the first letter of the curses is the letter vav. The last letter of the curses is the letter hey. So what? So there are two letters that are close to each other. There's not so much room between them because there's no room between them. There are two letters that are adjacent. So vav and hey. So the brachas are aleph ad taf. You get everything. The klalos, the curses are vav ad hey. It's constriction. It's constriction. I'm trying to get everything I want. I get nothing. There's nothing between vav and hey. Says the Medrash, another mysterious kind of statement. Not only that, but they're opposite. They're backwards, right? Which sounds like it means aleph is the first letter of the alphabet, taf is the last letter. That's the blessings. Vav and hey, vav is after the letter hey. It's backwards. It should be hey and vav. It's backwards. So somehow the vav being first and the hey being second, even though sequentially hey is first, indicates that there's some kind of reversal going on. A reversal. What does it mean? First, we struggle to explain this. We'll see some different explanations about it. But it sounds like it's saying that it doesn't take very much. Just like the distance between vav and hey is so small. If a person is experiencing curses, it doesn't take much. You just got to turn back to Hashem. It's hafucha. It's just turn back. I'm going the wrong way. Turn around. If I keep going down the way that I'm headed, I'm going to end up where I'm headed. And it ain't good. Right? So I just got to turn around. The vav and the hey, let's turn around. All of the klalos, this is one explanation of it. There are so many curses, it sounds terrible, but all of those klalos, when I turn around, they turn around. All of the curses turn around if I turn back to Hashem. And I can't help but think, vav and hey are two of the letters of Hashem. Hashem's name, Yud K, Vav K. The last two letters are vav and hey. And interestingly, the letters vav and hey indicate the vav is the male aspect, which is Hashem himself. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is referred to. The vav represents HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And the hey is the female aspect, is Am Yisrael, is the Jewish people. We're supposed to be receiving from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The vav and the hey are supposed to be connected, but they're not. They're distanced from each other. The vav is at the beginning of the klalis, and the hey is at the end of the klalis. And we could say that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is there within the curses as well, waiting for us to return to him and bring back those two letters close to each other. Maybe we could say a pshat like that. Let's read the end of the Medrash. Amar Rabbi Avin ibzichisen. If you merit, I will flip around, I'll reverse the curses to be blessings. Amosai, when is it? When you keep my Torah. That's what it means to say, if you shall keep the Torah, if you shall go in the paths of the Torah, you can turn it all around. You can flip around the curses. You can take on October 7th, which had such a deep, painful impact on Am Yisrael, we can take it and turn it around and remember and remind ourselves that why did that happen? We don't know why it happened. But we can certainly say that Am Yisrael was missing at that moment a tremendous amount of Avos Yisrael. We were missing in our relationship with each other. There was so much strife at that time. Look back at that summer 2 years ago. There was so much negativity. There was so much strife, protests, anger, lack of love. And everything turned around after that. We realized we got to stick together. Otherwise, we're going to break. We're going to fall. We got to stick together. We got to love each other. So there's a turnaround when the Vav and Hey are distant, when the male and female aspect, when the love is not between us. There's a turnaround that brings us back together. And then we get the blessings from Aleph ad Taf. All of the 27 psukim of curses are turned around and they become blessings. Amazing teaching, amazing idea. I'd like to share with you another explanation. The Gemara in Baba Basra brings this concept as well. It's on Daf Peiches Beis, page 88b. And there, the Gemara tells us, points out that there's two different sections of brachas and klalos in the Torah. One is here in Behar-Bechukosai, which the Gemara refers to as being written by Hashem, as it were, because it was dictated by Hashem to Moshe, and he wrote it down. So this is Hashem's, as it were, blessings and curses. And then in Sefer Devarim, which is called Mishnah Torah, which is Moshe Rabbeinu's speech as he's about to pass away, at the end of the 40 years in the wilderness. So in that speech, it's a different style of the blessings and the curses. So I'd like to read to you from the Maharsha, who explains this. He brings some Ar Medrash Rabbah, Parsha Podcast, Hishav di Brachas me'al Batav, Hishav di Klos me'vav ad Hey, Lo yoyel shen afuchas me'akadosh baruch hu m'zechisan areni hoifich l'chem ha'kadosh baracha. Ayin Sham. He brings Ar Medrash that says that if we merit, so Hashem is going to flip around the blessings to curses. V'tzarech bir v'chi b'shvil sha'oises mu'upachim nirmesh ma'abek klala l'bracha. He asks a few questions. First of all, Vav and Hey, so it's in reverse order. So therefore, how does that teach us that the curses will be flipped around and reversed to become blessings? How do we see that? He also says, why should it be that, why is it these two letters, Vav and Hey? Somebody gave an explanation, but Maharsha wants to understand why Vav and Hey. Pick any two letters in the next year. Pick Chav and Lamed. And do Lamed Chav. Start with Lamed, end with Chav. They're two letters that are close to each other, and they're in reverse order. Why is it specifically the Vav and the Hey? He brings to explain this a Medrash and Eicha. This is very interesting, and I think it relates to what we spoke about when it comes to situations where we end up in trouble because of people who are doing stuff that they shouldn't be doing. The times of Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai was the end of the second Beis Hamikdash, the end of the second temple. It was the destruction of the temple. He was living inside of Jerusalem, and there were those who were politically involved there, causing trouble, trying to win against the Romans, but they were under siege. And they burned these baryonim, they were called the baryonim. They burned all of the storehouses of grain that were in the old city of Yerushalayim. They had some kind of political reason for doing it. When Rabbi Yochanan heard that this happened, he said the word Vai, woe is me. What a terrible thing that this happened. Oy vey, he said. Vilshinu, I said the Resh Bar Yoni. And whoever had been there somehow got this information over to the head of the Bar Yonim, this political group, and told him Rabbi Yochanan said what a terrible thing had been done. They brought him to the political party and they wanted to kill Rabbi Yochanan because he spoke negatively of them. And Rabbi Yochanan apologized that he had said va. In other words, he said, I didn't say, but He misheard me, he said. He might have reported to you that I said vai, which means, oh no. But actually I said va, which means like, wow. Va. Wow, what an amazing thing. So the Medrash says, Bein vai leva nitzal Rabbi Yochanan. By changing what he said, telling them that he had said wow instead of whoa, he was able to save himself. So what is this Medrash teaching us? Says the Marsha, Vahu Lashon Simcha. When you say wow, it's a language of joy. You say, whoa, woe is me. That's a sad language. Memela Amar HaKlalos Matchilin Bevav U'Mesayim Behei. So now the Marsha wants to say like this. Notice that the word va of Rabbi Yochanan, va means wow, wow. It's the letters vav and hey. It's the letters vav and hey, wow. And it's a reversal of vai. Rabbi Yochanan was caught saying, vai, woe is me, and he saved himself by saying, no, I said va, wow. Says the Marsha, that's what's going on in our Medrash too. The Medrash is saying that the klalos, even though they're so terrible, they're the vai, they're the woe is me, but it starts maschilim bevav u'mesayim behei. They start with a vav and they end with a hey. Shehem va, which means wow. Laharos, this is to teach us HaKadosh Baruch Hu mahapich klalos lebracha, that Hashem reverses the klalos, the curses, that they can become blessings. When we take to heart the difficulties that we've gone through or that we're going through, and we recognize that there's something missing in our relationship with Hashem that's causing these problems. When we say vai, when we say woe is me, Hashem changes all of the curses to blessings, and we say, wow, wow. Afterwards we see all the troubles, all the difficulties that occurred. We don't understand it, but somehow there's a reversal. And the curses become blessings and they become joyful. Right? Right? A lot of times it says in the Torah, it will be on that day. Hashem will blow on the great shofar. There will be a reversal of v'haya. The first two letters of v'haya is va. It will be a wow. It will be an unbelievable moment. Everything will switch from darkness to light, from tragedy to joy. There's a transformation from darkness to light. King Tialano, we wish it would be like that for us too. We can't wait to see the salvation. We can't wait to see the war turn into peace. The difficulties and the challenges turn into salvation. The word vahaya is a language of joy, because the letters vav and hey are the beginning of that word. So it's an incredible lesson. It's incredible teaching here. The teaching is that we can look at the curses and they seem so great and they seem so awesome and they seem so terrible and they seem endless. 27 letters, 27 psukim, 27 times. And yet, all of that can turn around in a moment. All we need to do is take the vav and the hey. Remember, hey, who's the vav and the hey? Va, wow. It's HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Turn back to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Reverse it all. Take the vai. Take the woe is me. Take the pity party. The I'm a victim. Turn it around. HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Turn back to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bring it all back to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Hey, how can I bring myself back How can I turn myself back? How can I, instead of heading down the path of the curses, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu saying, I'm going to keep, if a person turns away from me, I'm going to turn away from him. We don't have to do that. You just got to turn back. Just got to turn back to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I want to bless you. I ask you to bless me. HaKadosh Baruch Hu should help us to recognize that the blessings are compacted power, Aleph Ad Taf. From the first letter till the last letter. Everything is included there. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu should help us recognize that the curses themselves, that seem so overwhelming, they are so hard, they are so great. HaKadosh Baruch Hu should help us realize that it takes a small amount, just a distance between Vav and Hey, to turn it around, to direct ourselves back to doing the will of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. May Hashem help us to do that, so that all of the curses, heaven forbid, that have gone on, that are, heaven forbid, going on, that they should all be flipped around. We should all merit to see HaKadosh Baruch Hu revealing himself with the Beis HaMikdash, times of Mashiach. Behar-Bechukosai. Thank you so much for listening. Have a wonderful Shabbos. This podcast was made possible through the gracious donations of listeners like you. For more podcasts like this, please visit www.arigoldwag.com or search on iTunes Ari Goldwag.